Kindly join us on stage. Mr. Dhruv Jaishankar is a fellow in Foreign Policy Studies at Brookings India in New Delhi. In this capacity, he manages Brookings India's activities related to international relations and security. His research examines India's role in the international system and the effect of global developments on India's politics, economics, and society, with a particular focus on India's relation with the United States, Asia, and the Indo-Pacific and Europe. Now I request all of you to please rise for the national anthem of Singapore. I request every one of you to please take your seats. Now we will have the presentation of Singapore. Over to you, Mr. Dhruv Jaishankar.
Okay. We have the slides. So I think just before we load the slides, we'll take this opportunity to thank the Indian government, the Madhya Pradesh government, and the India Foundation for really hosting us. Very comfortable, very nice. We learned a lot of things here. So thank you very much for all the effort that you put in. So I've been told I have 10 minutes, so I'll do my best to go through as much as I can. So just a quick outline of what I'm going to present today. First, I'll tell you more about what Singapore is about, followed by some interesting tourist place that you can just, when you come by Singapore, do take a look at it. Then we'll talk about some of our interesting policies that we thought might be a bit more focused since you're in the youth setting. So things like our multiculturalism, our education system, and also our youth development. Finally, followed by our relationship with India. So if you look at our name, Singapore, right? First slide. It actually comes from a Sanskrit word called Singapura, if I pronounce it correctly. So it's actually Lion City. So I think the name also tells itself how much we have some relation with India. Moving along. So that's where we are, tiny little red dot, as you can see. We have to make the thing bigger so you can see us. Okay? And then about us, so we have about 5.6 million people. Our main race predominantly Chinese, followed by Malays and Indians. Our national language is Malay, and our official language is English, Malay, Chinese, and Tamil. Our president is Mr. Tony Tan, who will be retiring, I think, very soon. And our current prime minister will be is Mr. Lee Hsien Loong. Okay, so some interesting place to visit. This is our MBS, all right, and this is our Gardens by the Bay, our Malayan, our mythical folk, that how Singapore came about, And this is our Universal Studios. You can have fun, play roller coaster all day long. And I think the first part that I can share about is multiculturalism in Singapore. All right, so Singapore, we have a lot of different culture coexisting in a common place, and living in peace. So in a way, we are same but different. You know, we're all same but different, right? Right, so we have different races, different nationalities, but then somehow we can come in together and we still call ourselves Singapore our home. And I think to have diversity and to be able to live together and in harmony, it requires a certain form of policies also to be implemented. So such policy we have is like Racial Harmony Day, where we celebrate once a year, we celebrate all the racial harmonies in Singapore. It's also in our social studies, in our curriculum. So students do learn about multiculturalism, about Singapore. We also have free conversational third language. At the same time, we also have the People's Association. So they are an organization that looks into promoting grassroots racial harmony at a very grassroots level. So right down to the ground where you stay and you enjoy. And finally, national service. So that's when all males, usually age 16 and above, are required to be conscripted to our national service. And that's the best place where we have everyone from everywhere coming together and spending 2 years of your life together. So that's another way that we also encourage diversity. So I'll share with you more about some of the research that we have conducted about, more and more younger people are being open to diversity. And I think to any diversity, there's always challenges. So it's about also managing stereotypes and how do we manage the different systems that we have in place, the different cultures that we have in place. So the next is our education. So we have a literacy rate of 97%. I think it's for 15 and above, if I recall correctly. We are also ranked number 1 in math and science in OECD. And we have our top university is Nanyang Technological University, which is ranked 11 globally and first in Asia. And also ranked first in 50 under 50. So to achieve this, I think it requires a very complex education system. So it looks very complex, but actually quite simple to understand if you go through our MOE website. And the reason why we create such a system is because we believe that every children and youth that comes through the education system has different abilities and interests. So the way they learn is different. Some people are more academic focused, so they tend to go more to the junior colleges before to uni, whereas we have others who are more hands-on, who are more technical. So that's our Institute of Technical Education and also our polytechnics. So it's really to meet the different learning needs of our students. And I think towards moving into an inclusive society, we have also made it compulsory for our kids with special education. In 2019, every kid has to go to school, whether you are high functioning or whether you are special education. So this is a typical curriculum of how we call it SPED, special education curriculum looks like. And it's our hope and belief to continue creating that inclusive society we believe in. Skills Future is another interesting policy that was recently started. So part of lifelong learning, we are encouraging adults who even have finished universities to keep learning. And part of the government's initiative is to actually provide them with $500 credits, where they can actually sign up for any programs they want to that is offered in the website. So it could be things like, if you want to pursue further the area that you're interested in, for example, if you want to do more math, more science, there are programs in there. Or if you want to try something different, it could even be simple things like flower pot arrangement. We also have courses for that. So it's really diverse and it's meant to up the skills, because we know technology is catching up, right? And there are people that also need to move up and upgrade with technology. So this is one of our attempts. In terms of youth development, we have the National Youth Council that coordinates all the youth affairs in Singapore. And part of it is to really collect the feedback from the youths. And it helps in shaping our policies in the future. So that's how we hear the youth, we get feedback from them, and we shape policies from there. So 2 key functions is our Youth Corp Singapore and Outbound Singapore. So the Youth Corp Singapore looks more into empowering our youth to volunteer in the community, and it could be any projects that they have. So what we do is we become an enabler. You go in there and say, a group of you come and say, hey, I want to serve the people who are the migrants that are working in Singapore, and then we enable them with their projects by providing funding, by providing expertise. We also conduct overseas education program where they can go overseas and also do community services. Next is our Scape. So Scape is somewhere in the middle of the city. If you've been to Somerset, that's where it is. It's really a social hub for youth where they can come together in that common space to interact with each other, explore their interests, whether it's arts, whether it's sports, and that's how we encourage youth to pursue their interests, because we understand that youth needs their space. And if you don't give them the space, it's difficult for them to pursue their interests and their aspirations. And we also host a lot of events such as Shine and Youth Month. So Outward Singapore, a new initiative that we are doing. So it's off Coney Island, just an island outside Singapore, where it will be compulsory for all secondary 3, which is 15-year-old kids, to attend. So basically, every kid in Singapore, as long as you're in a public school or independent school, you will have to go through this, and it's compulsory from 2020. And the hope is to build a resilient nation. So we expose them out, do high elements, do water rafting, do camping, and we toughen them up. Yeah. So part of NYC's initiative is also to seek the feedback from the youth, right? So some of it is, for example, they conduct surveys, and recent findings have found that, our youths are more open to diversity. Other results also include youth spend more time online. It's a good thing because our youths are more techies, but it also means that it presents us with a different form of problem when it comes to technology. In terms of India-Singapore relations, I think India is one of Singapore's oldest and closest friends. Our diplomatic relations started right off since our independence, and we have a lot of collaborations that we have done since 2005, which include the India-Singapore Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement. And I think, next slide. Yes, Singapore has also contributed to 60% of India's foreign FDI from 2000 to 2016. And I think more importantly, there's a lot of links between India and Singapore within our Indian community. We have a lot of Indian workers in Singapore, and we also have a lot of Indian students studying there. Finally, we also train Indian government. I think it goes both ways. And our militaries cooperate, and our trade is very robust. Singapore is the second largest investor in India behind Mauritius. And of course, I think our culture is deeply intertwined. So, yep, that's it. Any questions? I keep within time,
Thank you for that lovely presentation. I very much appreciate it. I actually spent a lot of time in Singapore. I was there for 2 months last year at NTU, actually, which you mentioned, and I've gone there, I think, 5 times in the last year alone. But, Singapore stands out for being, of the ASEAN countries, the most highly developed in many ways, the highest per capita incomes. The diversity is something, a point of pride, I think, that you underscored. But what is it, given that we're at the India-ASEAN Youth Forum, what is it that you think Singapore can contribute beyond its example to support India-ASEAN youth engagement, taking it outward in some ways and engagement? Just one question for you.
I think in terms of some of our policies that we have done in Singapore, in terms of how we engage the youth, even things like with recent, we talk about technological developments, right? With technological advancement, there can also be issues related to technology with youth. It could be game addiction. It could be game addiction. It could be, in the past, you want to find youth at risk, you can always find them at the void deck, at the common spaces. But now they're hiding in their room, playing computer. So we are doing this kind of research in terms of intervention, and just something that we can share in terms of what we have. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. I think we'll move on to the next presentation. We'll take a few questions after that.
Okay, thank you.
Now we will have presentation from Thailand, but before that I will request all of you again to please rise up for the national anthem of Thailand.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2. All right. Good afternoon, my ASEAN and Indian friends. And let me, on behalf of our 7 Thai delegates and some Thai monks over there, to thank again the Indian government, our authority, our organizers, and the volunteers, and thank you for the Thai ambassador to India for participate and listen to me. So correct me if I'm wrong in anything of this. Okay, and get to the point. We divide our presentation into 2 parts. Me and my friend over here are going to be half and half on that. And let's get to the introduction of Thailand. Welcome to the land of smiles. And the pictures here is the picture of the Temple of Dawn, Wat Arun, the beautiful symbol of Bangkok, my hometown. Thailand are blessed with geological advantages. We have a land border connected to several ASEAN countries. To the north, we are connected with Myanmar and Laos. To the further east, to the Cambodia, and down south to Malaysia. And Vietnam is quite close to us. We can catch a bus and go to Vietnam quite easily. So with this, our connectivities here, land connectivity here, we are called the heart of ASEAN. The Thailand overview are going to be fast on this one. The population is 70 million people. The GDP last year is 3.2. The GDP growth is 3.2 last year, and this year we expect it's going to be about 3.5. The capital of Thailand is, of course, Bangkok, my hometown, and the official language is Thai. In the past few years, Thai government are having a plan that we want to implement English as a second language, but we still unable to do that, maybe due to some political issue, maybe. But the Thailand is a land of freedom. We embrace our culture and religions, but the most of the population is Buddhism, about 93%. The most second religion is Islam, with about 5.5%. Most of the Muslims are living in the southern part of Thailand. The political system, just 1 minute. The political system is constitutional monarchy, officially. But right now we are under the military rule, or the junta, you can call that. But it's not sound too bad, but we are quite happy about that. Actually, but yeah. But I think that in the past 2 years, we haven't had any election, and I think that it's about time that we're going to get out of the case of fear and have an election by next year, promised by the Thai government, hopefully. The Thailand economy overview, we're starting off as an agricultural-based economy, but about 50 years ago, we initiated a plan to become industrialized, which is quite fruitful because we had become one of the fastest growing economy in Asia. But right now, we are being surpassed by Vietnam, Cambodia, and Myanmar. You win. So that's why we have our government shift to more diverse economy. We invest a lot to the digital economy, creative economy, and right now we have a master plan of the digital economic development master plan, also called Thailand 4.0. We just invest a lot in youth development and in the digital technology and fintechs. And here comes the youth population in Thailand. The median age is about 37 years old. I'm 30, so I'm not that old already. But the age structure, let's get to the people around 15 to 24 years. We are about 14% of the population, of about 10 million, you can say that, which is quite low in percentage compared to the youth population in Cambodia, Myanmar, and in Vietnam. But less population doesn't mean that we are not effective, because the entrepreneurship in Thailand for the youth population is quite extensive, and the government of Thailand is supporting that too. So that's why here comes the tech startup ecosystem in Thailand, which is quite extensive and is quite successful. We have so many co-working space now, mostly in Bangkok, like a Hub Bar and several places. We have a lot of companies who have invested themselves to become an accelerator and incubator. We are a little bit behind Singapore in terms of the tech startup, but we're catching up on that, so be careful about that. Let's get to know Thailand a bit better. Connectivity matters. What we're going to talk about the cultural diplomacy. Let's get to know Thailand with something that you might be able to relate to. First thing off, like Thai films. Singaporean might be familiar with the Thai film quite a bit. Ong Bak, the action film. In the past few years, we have exported our several Thai films to Singapore. And we have a huge fan of some of the Thai actors in Singapore right now. And hopefully that we can spread that to across ASEAN member countries. But I want to talk about the ghost film in Thailand, which is, I think the Thai ghost is quite the scariest in the world. And yeah, I'm not a fan of Thai ghosts because I watched several movies and I cannot sleep alone at night. So be warned about that if you want to watch Thai ghosts. And recently we have a Hollywood who come to film a Thai ghost movie in the Hollywood style in Thailand. I haven't seen it yet, but that's mean that it's quite famous across the world. Thai street food, I love it. It doesn't mean that I don't love Indian food. It's okay. But we have a saying that every corner of Bangkok or across Thailand, you can find a street cart or a very spicy food, very cheap one, with just $1 or $1.50, you can have a good meal. Might not be good enough compared to the meal that we just have there. But yeah, it's very good. But recently we have a plan that we want to regulate Thai street food a little bit, maybe get them onto the food part or maybe into the food center, like a hawker center in Singapore. I love hawker center in Singapore. But we might be able a little bit too late to that because the space in Bangkok is quite limited. So we might not be able to build a food center, like a hawker center in Singapore anymore. Tourism, of course, is the most important industry in Thailand. The accessibility in Thailand is great. You can come to Thailand by air, by land, by air, by sea. The weird symbol over there might be because the company is not updated yet. But yeah, and from Thailand you can catch a bus to go to Myanmar, to Cambodia, to Vietnam, to Laos quite easily. And you also can ride a train to Penang, like my friend Thompson from Malaysia have suggested to do that, but it takes about 22 hours. So it's going to be a chill travel. I'm going to leave my part with some of the unseen tourist places in Thailand which I have visited myself. That's me over there, so that's not confusing. And I'm going to leave the next part, which is quite interesting for Indian friends over here because we're going to talk about the connection and relationship between the Indian and Thai culture. Mr. Saran, please.
Good afternoon. So now we'll talk about the Thai and India cultural relation. And actually this year, Thai and India just celebrated their 70th anniversary of their diplomatic relation. But as many of our notable speakers pointed out yesterday, our ties have been going on for thousands of years, as you can see in this map. So you can see that from India, there are a lot of trade routes and religious routes where monks and traders travel from all over India to the country through maritime travels and through religious on the religious context and so on. And the most notable influence from India is obviously religion. As you know, Buddhism, as my colleague pointed out, 93% of our population are Buddhist. So, and you can't get any more Indian than that because Buddha was Indian. So that is a very strong Indian tie right there. And Buddhism, as our speakers pointed out yesterday, so spread throughout the centuries. And Hinduism also made their way to Thailand through trades with Chola and Pallavas in the 9th to 11th century. And I have an interesting observation that I would like to talk about. Like when I have Indian friends coming to Thailand nowadays, they seem very surprised and amused that wherever they go in Bangkok, they see Brahma shrines everywhere. You see the Brahma in the corner right there. And which is a strange phenomena that only happens in Thailand. Because in India, actually, there are practically almost no Brahma temple dedicated to Brahma here. Only two are, one in Pushkar, the other one is some small village in Karnataka. And so when Indian comes, they say, oh, I see Brahman every 10 meters, literally, every 10 meters. And so this is, beside Brahma, also other Hindu gods are worshipped by all the Buddhists. Shiva and Vishnu and Ganesh also worship before the beginning of every cultural performance. Likewise, with religions, literature also made their way to Thailand, most notably Ramayana and Mahabharata. Actually, our kings are officially known as Rama, and now our present king is Rama the 10th. Yeah, so, and another interesting point about Ramayana is that, like how Tulsidas readapted Valmiki's Ramayana from Sanskrit to Hindi, likewise, our king Rama I also did the same thing. So he readapted Ramayana from various sources, Sanskrit, local sources in Thai, and so on. And many of my Indian friends here may be shocked to hear that in our version, our Hanuman is actually a playboy. And he actually has many wives, on contrary to your version, where he's a staunch Rama Bhakta and a brahmachari. So for example, in this picture, so Hanuman is courting a character called Suvarna Matsya, the golden fish. She's actually the daughter of Ravana, who has another wife who is a fish, so she became a mermaid. And the story happened that when Rama was going to cross from Rameshwaram, Dhanushkoti to Lanka, so the monkeys had to make a bridge, with boulders. They threw the boulders into the ocean. And this Suvarna Matsya sort of distracted that process by grabbing the boulders with her mouth and just, destroy the bridge. So Rama got angry. So Rama ordered Anjaneya, Hanuman, to, dive into the ocean and sort it out. But instead of sorting it out, he fell in love with Suvarna Matsya. And they had a child even, and which became to call Matsyanu, and then which is a quarter human, a quarter monkey, a quarter yaksha, a quarter I don't know what. That's complicated. So it may be interesting for you to also study our version of Ramayana, because it's actually very adventurous and fun. Yeah. So next, there are many coincidences, but the next also, the influence from India is all our festivals are based from Indian only. So the one on your left is one of the most famous one, Loi Krathong. Loi Krathong is similar to Ganga Puja, how we do in Kashi, in Varanasi. So on the full moon day in the month of November, which is equal to Kartika Purnima in India, so people go to the river and they float basket made from banana leaf with offerings such as incense, flowers, and so on, and float to the river as a sign of thanksgiving. And now it become a very cultural thing where people also play music and have firework displays and so on. And the one on your right is Songkran. Songkran is our Thai New Year in the month of April, again, which is the same in some part of India, especially South India. It's called, on the 14th November, it's called, I think, Makra Sankranti or something in Sanskrit. And now it became a cultural festival as well. Besides doing religious religious rituals, they also throw water at each other because it's considered to be the hottest day of the year. And this festival, both of these festivals have been attracting a lot of tourists from all over the world, especially ASEAN countries. And if you come to Thailand during those festivals, you hear a lot of ASEAN languages, and it would be a good way for you to also get exposure to all the different ASEAN nations during that time as well. So now the last cultural Thai that I want to talk about is actually our language. And you may know that as yesterday some of the speakers mentioned that ASEAN is actually a Sanskritic culture. So Thai language, more than 60 to 70% of our language is actually derived from Sanskrit with combination of Khmer and other things, local language and so on. I'll give example. The most easy example is actually our names. So, for example, my name is Charan. Charan is very Indian name, so it means to surrender. It's the same meaning. And my last name, and all of our last names, which have been omitted from the program, not the program book, there's some note I saw, because it's too long, the 15-letter last name, and which you may pronounce, for example, my last name with the 15-letter, you may pronounce it Swep Santi Vongsa or something like that, which sounds very peculiar. But in reality, it's very simple. Sup is Shubha, Santi is Shanti, Vong is Vamsha. Shubha, Shanti, Vamsha. Shubha, good, Shanti, peace. Vamsha, dynasty, clan. So Sharan, Shubha, Shanti, Vamsha, surrender to the good, prosperity, peaceful clan. For example, my colleague, if you read his name, you may read it Tosafol. You don't know what language is, that sounds strange. But actually, there's nothing than Dashabala. Dashabala, the 10 strengths. Very easy. Other than my colleague, Narishvara. So it's Nara plus Ishvara, Sandhi become Narishvara, the Lord of human, the Lord of mankind. Another, I give more example. The other one, Pundarika, that's very simple. Pundarika is a lotus, so it's very easy. The last one, Varnashai. So Varnashai is pronounced differently, but if you look at the spelling, it's Varna Jaya, the victor of all the Varnas, the caste. So as you can see, there's more ties of cultural ties more than you think. So if you have any questions now for two of us, you're welcome to ask now. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation that covered so much ground. I think the stress on the digital economy, and there's some things I think that really resonated beyond the names here with many of us in India. The digital economy, Thai food. I had Thai food for dinner last night in Delhi, which shows that it's gaining popularity.
That is not the real Thai food.
I know. It's not the real Thai food. But it's a syncretic and adapted Thai food. Buddhism, of course, and the tourism. The number of Indians who now go as tourists to Thailand has really increased. I have one question for you, which is, you showed the demographic profile of Thailand and how it's changing and what are some of the anxieties that you think as representatives of Thai youth? What are some of the anxieties that you think Thai youth feel about their future?
Yeah, I think our situation is quite similar to Singapore, which are increasingly become an aging society here. A lot of my friends who are above 30 having married yet don't have a child because even the economy is rising 3.5 we expected this year, but the cost of living also rising too. So it's quite hard to afford to take care of yourself. And if you have a wife or a girlfriend, it's going to be a little bit hard to do that. And the worst thing, for me, I'm still not be able to afford to take care of my kid. So that's why that we are increasingly become a great society here. And that scares us because in the next 30 years, maybe we don't going to have a workforce, a young workforce to supporting our economy. So right now, the government, along with the digital economy plans, we also try to encourage Thai people to try to have a family plan, or maybe try to have a suitable job for them. You don't have to be in Bangkok to have a good job. You can be somewhere else in the northern part, to the southern side. Just be sustainable. Just be able to become happy. Don't care that much about money, and just having a good family and a kid, and who are going to be the future of the Thailand economy.
Thank you very much. I think we'll take some questions at the end for all of us. Thank you.
We will now have presentation of Philippines, but since there was a special request from delegates of Philippines that they themselves wanted to sing their national anthem, so I invite the Philippine delegates to please come on stage, and I also request all of you to please rise for the national anthem of Philippines.